discussion on the December 3rd, 2025 council meeting. In the event of a tie, there may be more than 3 names on the agenda. Mayor and council may include individual vetting processes, for example, interviews, reference checks prior to the December 3rd council meeting. And finalists will appear before mayor and council on December 3rd for the December 3rd council meeting. The timeline for this process would include starting tomorrow, we would extend the job posting so that it would be open for an additional 7 days. HR would forward qualified applicants to mayor and council by October 27th. Between October 27th and November 12th, mayor and council members would individually review the applications with or without advisors, legal or otherwise, and then on November 3rd, mayor and council members individually provide their top 3 candidates in ranking order to human resources. On November 4th, HR will compile the rankings and submit the names of the top 3 finalists to mayor and council. HR would prepare agenda items for the November 15th council meeting. Between November 5th and November 18th, mayor and council may conduct individual interviews prior to the November 19th council meeting. On November 19th, finalists would appear before mayor and council at which time a selection may be made. Option 3 would be follow the most recent municipal judge process to appoint an interim caretaker or interim non-caretaker. The process involved here would be that Human Resources will repost the job announcement to further source qualified candidates, noting the selected individuals may run for election. Mayor and council members each identify an individual as their representative to sit on the panel to interview qualified candidates. Mayor and council also identifies a city staff member to serve as a process administrator for panel members and not be in a voting capacity. Panelists rank their top 3 candidates and submit their selections to the process administrator, who will then forward the names to Human Resources. Human Resources will submit 3 finalist names. There may be more if there is a tie to mayor and council members. Mayor and council interviews the top 3 finalists with no more than 3 elected officials in each interview session. Mayor and council members rank the 3 finalists. Finalists will appear before mayor and council at the December 3rd council meeting. Between October 15th and October 20th, mayor and council would each identify an individual as their representative to serve on an interview panel. October 21st and 23rd, HR conducts panel members to confirm availability and block calendars. October 26th, an extended job posting closes at midnight. October 27th through November 6th, panel interviews. Panelists will each submit their selections in ranking order to the process administrator. From November 10th through November 17th, mayor council interview finalists with no more than 3 elected officials per session. Mayor council will individually provide their ranking order to Human Resources. HR prepares agenda item for December 3rd council meeting. On 11/18, lead items are due by November 20th if additional time is needed. And then on 12/3, the finalists will appear before mayor and council at the December 3rd council meeting, which time a selection may be made. Option 4 would be to have a modified Nevada Commission on Judicial Selection to appoint an interim caretaker or interim non-caretaker. This process would include a solicitation and appointment thereafter by mayor council members of a chief judge of one of the local judiciaries to serve as chair of the committee. Next would be solicitation and appointment thereafter by mayor and council members of 2 city council members, 3 active criminal defense attorneys, and 3 active prosecuting attorneys to serve as temporary members of the committee. Identification of city staff members to serve as an administrative advisor and/or as a conduit to mayor and council members to arrange the committee sessions, the screening of applicants, the scheduling of interviews. Then there would be committee interview. The committee would interview the applicants. Committee would select finalists. The delivery of finalist recommendations would be then sent to mayor and council members. Mayor and council members would interview the finalists either in open meeting or in groups of 3 or less, and then appointed by council at the December 3rd council meeting. The timeline for this process would start today with mayor and council providing direction regarding the makeup of the selection committee, chairperson and members and administrative advisor. Between October 16th and October 23rd, HR solicits interest via city posting or announcement and confirms calendar availability. October 22nd, HR prepares an agenda item for the November 5th council meeting, listing potential candidates for committee chairperson and committee members. October 26th, an extended job posting would close at midnight. November 5th, mayor council would appoint committee chairperson and committee members. Between November 10th and November 13th, committee interviews would take place with the chairperson and members will each provide their top candidates in ranking order to the administrative advisor, who will then forward the names to human resources. Between November 17th and November 18th, mayor council interviews the finalists with no more than 3 elected officials per session. Mayor council will individually provide their ranking order to human resources. On November 20th, HR prepares late agenda items for the December 3rd council meeting, and then on 12/3, finalists will appear before mayor council for the December 3rd meeting, in which time the selection may be made. At this point, I'll address any questions that you may have.
I'd like to open it up to the city council members for any questions that you have, but also a discussion on what would you prefer? Do we want an interim caretaker that cannot run for election, or are we appointing somebody that can run in the next election, keeping in mind that they will be filing in January? That's a few months away. And also, of the 4 options, which one, given the short amount of time, do you believe is most viable under these circumstances? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Chief Judge, I really appreciate you coming down. I think I've mentioned to you before, the more interaction, the more I can learn about what you all do. I appreciate that. And clearly you do a lot of things that I don't know about. But I think it's fun, like different branches of government can actually talk to each other and work together and get things done. Because there are so many things that you do that I don't completely understand, I would appreciate, and I don't know if it's uncomfortable for you or not, but if you're able to say, what is the court's preferred option, that would just be helpful for me.
Councilman, I have spoken to all of our judiciary, and it is the majority that preference that we have a caretaker, and that's simply because of the history. It's also because of the short amount of time. I think we can all agree as elected officials that running for election is extremely difficult. Providing someone the ability to only have a month in the job and get to use the term retain versus elect, it's not a lot of time to necessarily earn that.
Are you suggesting that this would be tipping the scales?
I do believe so. When I look at the history too, I know there's only been 2 similar situations. One was actually in my race when Judge Nordstrom was appointed interim, and then the last was Judge Baer. And so it was a similar situation where each individual was appointed as caretaker with the promise not to run. It is the position of the judiciary that is, because that's the history, because of the timeline, that would be our preference.
To go further within the 4 options, there's a couple of different paths there. Are you comfortable kind of weighing in?
So that would be my first choice. So are you asking for my second choice?
Yeah, within the 4 options.
Oh, how we would choose that individual? I think in the past it has been submission to you, and then you pick the top 3 candidates and vote on it. And I might be misspeaking. I believe that was the case with Judge Nordstrom. I don't know if there were interviews conducted at the time. Okay, I don't believe that there was. I think there was just stuff that was submitted to you, and then you picked the top 3. There was a conversation, obviously. We were asked through the court administrator or through the chief about the applicants. And so, obviously, again, going back to what I said during my presentation, that line of communication is very much appreciated. We typically do know the people that apply, and we definitely, as previously stated, know the job.
I'm just going to put a pin on that. So I've heard option 2.
So it would be the caretaker who agrees not to run, and it would be a submission of their stuff to you, and then the top 3 candidates would be put up for a vote. Yes.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Summers Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Judge Giordano, for being here. I was a legal secretary in my previous life, and a lot of the lingo that you use, because I was in district court, is familiar to me. But I also know that we are not legal. And the only person here that is an attorney is the mayor. And you said something that gave me pause. And so I'd like you to further explain what you meant about you having more access, not access, but participation, I think is the word that you used. You want to be part of the conversation. Can you please explain more?
Sure. In the past, as I stated, I think that our branches have worked very well with each other. I think that, again, we acknowledge that this is your power that's given to you by the municipal code, and we respect it. But we know our job. And so in the past, a conversation has always been had, whether it be a call, an in-person meeting, and an email with the judiciary, again, whether it be through the court administrator or the chief judge, about what we would prefer and what we've done in the past, and what technically, our position is on this particular process. And so that's what we would like. That's what the precedent has been set in the past, and I would hope that it would maintain in the future.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a process for the previous, the most recent judge that was picked, a process that we discussed here on the dais. Took personal concern about one of the parts of the process, but overall I thought it was effective because I chose my person to be on that panel who had served in the judiciary before, understood the process, knew what your job is like, and I thought was a valuable asset. And I think that from my perspective, Mayor, and my colleagues, I would like us not to be inconsistent in what we are doing. It's been less than a year that we just went through this process. And I would prefer a replica of the judicial process because I know that went well. I've seen it for my 30 years that I've been here. But under the circumstances with so little time, I would be interested in us revisiting that same process again where we each get to choose someone who is a trusted and experienced person, mostly from the legal field, and have them be our person to help vet the first round. That gives us consistency. We're not doing something completely different within less than 12 months. We're still using folks and asking people to represent us who are experienced in the work that you all do, but it allows some distance to be put between us and you all and a middle ground where someone is helping us vet and do things, because I have been around the legal field for a long time. My husband's an attorney, 35 years, we've been here. I don't know people anymore, right? There's many other people. I worked for Judge Adele he died III. He died in 1996. Okay, so it's been 07. So it's been a long time since I was active in the field, so I don't know people as well in the field as I used to back in the day. And so I would like, my recommendation would be that process so that I could choose my person to represent for me, who would be well-versed in what happens, understands what is going on, and puts some space between us and you, and give us a middle ground. So that would be my position there.
I guess this is kosher. Could I ask you a question? I've been leaning towards option 2. Would you be, I understand that you are favoring option 3. Would you be, no, that's a full-blown judicial. Option 3 is what we did previously with Matt Walker.
As you'll see, option 3 is following the most recent municipal judge process to appoint an interim caretaker, interim non-caretaker. Option 2 is the process that we followed for the Ward 2 appointment of Councilman Kelly.
No, it's okay.
No.
Ma'am, your question again, please?
I guess my question is, I understand you're favoring option 3. Would you totally reject option 2, which is what we did when we selected Ward 2's interim caretaker councilwoman.
I would, and I think I would, because this is not a situation where we're choosing a caretaker in a position that is working directly with us. This is a caretaker who is working with the judiciary. And I think that that's a different sort of appointment where their legal experience, their how do you say this, how they work on the bench, their experience in court settings, can they speak to and have experience with all the things that you outlined in your presentation? Do they have the right poise to be on the bench? Do they have the right experience? We don't know that because this is not our area. And so I would go for 3, I think is the option, where we choose someone, and I think maybe we should be specific about choosing folks in the legal community to help us to vet this, because they know one another and they know what's expected much better than we do.
And are you comfortable with an interim caretaker as opposed to appointing someone that can run?
Absolutely. I think your observation is absolutely correct. When a person is appointed and they have the full right to run, they can say retain. And you've been on the bench for 2 months, retaining what? You haven't shown, you haven't proven, we don't know enough about you to, and in my opinion, for them to be able to have that moniker. So I say caretaker.
Thank you so much. Ms. Polensky.
Madam Mayor, I have a couple questions. I think for Chief Judge Giordani, what happens after November 4th? Judge Roger leaves, and then there's a month of no judge. Does her docket is it ignored? Do the rest of you pick it up?
No, business never stops in the city, and so we still have calendars, it is I believe, our efforts right now to get pro temps. And then I have offered to cover the calendars that we cannot get pro temps for, because we're certainly working on a shorter pro tem list. So if there are days where it doesn't work out, then our judges are really good at working together. We can cover the calendars, and with the advance notice that Judge Roger provided us, we can schedule and have been scheduling, I believe, to speak to the efficiency of Department 2, the calendars in such a way that coverage would be possible.
Good to know. I have the city's website up, Unique Board. I have all 6 of your bright, shining faces staring at me. Can you give me a basic rundown of who is running this cycle? There are 6 of you. In my mind, you each have 6-year terms, correct?
Correct.
So in any given cycle, election cycle, 2 of you are running.
There's usually 3.
Usually 3?
We have 3 at a time, and so this is unique because Judge Walker was appointed in February, and he'll have to run. In this next election, we would have had no one running this next time because we had it 2 years ago for 3 of our departments. So next year, it will be Department 1 and Department 2 based on the circumstances for this gallery.
Okay, so 3 judges run at a time, then there's a bye, and then
There's usually a 2-year bye, and so whoever gets Department 1, as you know from the selection process, will run next year and then run again on my cycle in 28. Department 2 will run next year and then run again on their cycle in 2030.
Okay, and just from my perspective, I have no dog in the fight or no preconceived notions about what's best, caretaker or permanent judge. I don't think there's a right or wrong avenue to go, but I will defer to your request, caretaker. I have no problem. You took the time to come over and explain why, and the reasoning is sound. I'm happy to concur with that. I do have general feelings. My preference is option number 2, but again, I don't share a really strong sense of one over the other. If we do go for option 3, I would request that 5 names be elevated, as I did when we discussed this 6 months ago for Matt Walker. More candidates, the better that end up in our roster choices. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Ms. Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarification on your last request, the 5 to be elevated is the finalists to us? Okay. I want to make sure that you weren't saying that we wanted just 5 finalists to be vetted, maybe 3 elevated to us, but I just want to make sure you wanted 5 total for us to then vet.
Correct. Mr. Zamora accurately reiterated what we did last time. We elevated 3 names, and if we do this again, I'd rather 5 be elevated to give us more options.
I concur with that, thank you. And speaking to the February appointment of Mr. Walker, I think it worked pretty well overall. I do kind of like where Councilwoman Summers Armstrong wants us to have someone from our ward's vetting the pool of candidates that will be determined by qualifications and their willingness to just be a caretaker. I think since we opened the process, I think there have been some folks who wanted to run for a seat. So maybe we'll see some people rescind their applications, and so we don't know at this point how many total we'll have at the end. I do concur that a caretaker is just to be consistent. We have been very consistent as a council to ensure that if an election process is in close proximity to the appointment, that we not weigh or tip the balance and kind of keep things impartial and let the voters decide for us who they want to fill that role long-term. And so I'm happy with 2 or 3 options, and I wholeheartedly agree with the caretaker.
Thank you so much. Ms. Rooney?
Thank you, Mayor. I think I concur with both Chief Judge Giordani and my colleagues that interim non-caretaker is probably the best. So I think there's consensus around that. I would prefer option 3. I think the process, caretaker, someone who can't run again. I'm sorry. I think the process worked really well, and I've said all along, I am not a lawyer, and so I'm not a judge, and so I don't feel comfortable vetting people's qualifications or understanding, judges and people who work in the judicial system have reputations, and it's people on the inside who know, are they committed? Are they fair? What's their reputation? I don't have that insight, and so I really liked having a representative who works in those circles who could vet the applicants, and I think it worked well, and so I would support option 3.
All right, thank you so much. Let me ask you something, Chief Judge. Could you give us an idea of the percentage of criminal cases that you hear as opposed to civil cases?
Our civil cases predominantly we're traffic, and so I would say 98% criminal and 2% traffic, and the only reason I say that is because a lot of the times we bring up the civil cases to go in companion when a defendant has a criminal case in our department. That's simply for consistency purposes. It's our discretion to do so, but it is a cleaner process. So, and then we deal with bonds, but that's a very small amount of the work that we do.
All right, thank you so much. Mrs. Zamora, I think I've been leaning towards option 2 because I thought that it worked very well and was very efficient, but I'm picking up from my colleagues that they would prefer, by and large, option 3 because there's a feeling of unease, not being in the legal profession, feeling a little uncomfortable making these decisions. So I think the consensus is option 3, but can you go over it one more time because it's slightly different than what we did with the last appointment, because I think we had voting members that there was some complaints about. So can you explain to me what city staff or city attorney staff or municipal court staff would be doing in that room if they're not voting?
Yes, ma'am. For the main difference would be is that you would not have city staff members voting on the candidates. You would have today you would need to identify a city staff member to be an administrator of the process, to really talk to them about staying focused on the questions, helping them with their ranking sheets, and collecting the ranking sheets thereafter. They would have no further input and also provide them with additional information that we could provide relative to the workings of the court. So there has been conversations between my staff and Mr. Jessup that he possibly would probably be best suited for the individual to be that process administrator.
So that would be Hans?
Yes. And then there is one other element that I would need approval on, and that would be reposting the position for an additional 7 days so that it would close on October 26th at midnight, so that we would have the opportunity for this information to be reshared through our posting channels. And those channels are the city website, governmentjobs.com. Mr. Riggleman's team would update a press release to the media outlets. We would forward to the Clark County Bar Association and the Nevada State Bar to share with their members. We'd be advertising on LinkedIn, and through LinkedIn, it would be scraped to all other types of recruitment vehicles.
And part of the reposting would be that this is an interim caretaker, which was not the original posting, is
That's-
that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, if everybody has asked their questions, I will attempt to formulate a motion that concurs with everybody's input. I move that we have an interim caretaker, given the short time from now until filing for election, that we have option 3 with the changes from the last time that we used option 3, and that we give you the authority to repost the job description and the changes that we have made. Is that, oh, and we are, rather than 3 candidates, we would elevate 5 candidates for consideration. Is everybody comfortable with that? Yes.
So I know we're gonna elevate the top 5, but do we just submit 3 names, or are we going to submit 5? We're gonna rank top 3 still,
Yes.
and then 5 names will be elevated?
5 names will be elevated by the panel. You then would go ahead and review those candidates to develop your top 3. And Mayor, we would also need to have approval on who you would like the process administrator to be.
And we would, I would concur with your opinion, that Hans should be the administrator that is non-voting, but in the room, offering, answering questions and talking about process, so that we do this correctly. We have it? All right, please vote on that very laborious motion. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank the 3 of you very much for your input. I appreciate it.
Vince, real quick on the logistics of that, I'm guessing that each one of us will submit a name to you in the next little while, so that we can get started on that process.
We'll start reaching out, and I will go ahead and send you the process so that you have those timelines specific to option number 3.
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, city council members. Agenda item 49, boards and commissions. Discussion for possible action regarding the appointment of nominee Craig Galati to Ward 2 seat on the Arts Commission. Trish Truesdale has resigned and her unexpired term must be filled. Mr. Galati is eligible and wishes to serve. Is there a motion, Mayor Pro Tem?
At the risk of stepping on your councilwoman's toes, I'm gonna move to approve Craig Galati.
Please vote. Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 50. Discussion for possible action regarding the appointment of Councilwoman Kara Kelly as a representative on the following boards: Debt Management Commission, Oversight Panel for School Facilities, and Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition Alternative, and ratification of the appointment to the Audit Oversight Committee. I move to approve the appointments. Please vote. Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 51. This item is held in abeyance till November 5th City Council meeting. Agenda item number 52, new bills. Items 52 through 54, bills 2025-36, 37, and 38 will be heard at the recommending committee meeting on Monday, November 3rd, 2025. City Attorney, would you read the new bills?
Jeff Ortnick, City Attorney, with your indulgence, Mayor, I'm going to turn it over to our law school extern, Antonina Kapora-Peled. She is a dentist turned third-year law student at the Seattle University School of Law. She's been doing a great job in the civil division on the 6th floor for the first 6 weeks of the fall semester. She has 6 more coming up in the criminal division across the street at Municipal Court to see if they do everything Chief Judge explained there on the slide. So she'll be going there next. But Antonina, go ahead and read the 3 new bills, please.
Good morning. Antonina Kapora-Peled for the record. Bill number 2025-36, an ordinance to amend various sections of LVMC Chapter 6.75 relating to the short-term residential rentals to conform the definitions of the term to the definition of that term as found in LVMC Title 19. Update and clarify requirements relating to owner occupancy and liability insurance and provide for other related matters. Bill number 2025-37, an ordinance to amend LVMC Title 7 by adding a new chapter therein designated as Chapter 7.43 to require certain owners and operators of commercial establishments engaged in the business of handling pets to complete a training course on handling pets and to provide for other related matters. Bill number 2025-38, an ordinance to adopt that certain documented entitled Development Agreement for Desert Pines, including the Incorporated Desert Pines Development Standards and Architectural Design Guidelines, and other incorporated elements, and to provide for other related matters.
I think, Mr. City Attorney, you better watch out for your job.
See you guys.
New bills 2025-36, 37, and 38 are assigned to the November 3rd, 2025 recommending committee members, Councilman Knutson and Councilwoman Diaz and Valensky. If any so designated are unable to attend, the clerk's office will coordinate finding substitutes as necessary at my direction, and I thank you. We're now moving to agenda items 55 through 58. Agenda items 55 through 58 appear on the one motion, one vote agenda and may be considered in one motion, one vote as they are routine items with no condition changes. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or member of the council not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the applications recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this portion of the agenda. Agenda item 55, 25-0215, applicant, Southern Nevada Water Authority, owner, Las Vegas Valley Water District, on the following land use entitlement project request on 20.15 acres at 6930 West Okie Boulevard, Fort Ward, Mr. Knutson. 55A, 25-0215-CON1 from RE Residential Estates to CB Civic. Agenda item 55B, 25-0215 SDR1 for a proposed one-story, 2,373 square foot pump station building and equipment addition to an existing water reservoir facility. Item 56, 25-0293-RQR1, applicant owner Pine Mountain Holdings LLC on a land use entitlement project request for a required review of an approved special use permit for a proposed 5,000 square foot marijuana dispensary use at 631 South Las Vegas Boulevard, C2 General Commercial Zone, Ward 3, Ms. Diaz. Item number 57, 25-0296, applicant owner Cannon Walker for a 17-lot subdivision. Item 58, 25-0409-RQR1, applicant Lamar Central Outdoor LLC, owner Ewing Investments, on a land use entitlement project request for required review of an approved variance that allowed a 14-foot by 48-foot off-premise sign at a height of 80 feet, where 40 feet is allowed on 3.3 acres at 1405 A Street, M Industrial Zone, Ward 5, Ms. Summers Armstrong. The Planning Commission recommends approval of items 56 and 57. Staff recommends approval of all items. These are public hearings that I now declare open. Is there anyone wishing to be heard on items 55 through 58? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close the public hearings. Mayor Pro Tem, may I have a motion for the one motion, one vote items?
Madam Mayor, move to approve.
Okay, please vote. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Agenda item 59. 25-0289, VAR1, appeal item, variance applicant owner Landy Molinero Fonseca, for possible action on an appeal of approval by the Planning Commission on a land use entitlement project request to allow existing residential accessory structures, chicken coop and carports 1 and 2, and a front yard wall fence that do not conform to Title 19.06 Development Standards for height separation, setbacks, size, and aesthetic compatibility on 0.25 acres at 7208 Graceland Circle, R1 Single Family Residential Zone, Ward 4, the town of Zelensky. The Planning Commission recommends approval, and staff recommends denial. This is a public hearing. I now declare open. Does the applicant wish to come forward?
Hi,
Hello, would you state your name for the record?
my name is Randy Miguel Movero Fonseca.
I'm sorry I messed up your name so badly.
Good morning, my name is Elian Delgado Mantilla, I'm his wife. He's the current owner of the 7208 grasslands. So we are here today to appeal the decision regarding the variance for the carport, wall fence, and the chicken coop, which was reviewed by the planning committee meeting on September 9, where it was not approved. So we would like to clarify that we pushed this home back on 2023, and it was already with all the existing structure, including the carport, the chicken coop, and which according to a neighbor, the carport was built back in 2019. She previously came here on September 9 and confirmed that information to the committee. Also, she's stating that she has no issue with this structure being there. So in fact, none of our neighbors have ever complained about the carport. This situation began after the city of La Vega received a call about one vehicle being parked incorrectly. Until this day, we are not sure whether that vehicle was from us or from someone else. When the staff arrived, the car was already gone, so it was no car there. However, they decided to inspect the entire property and inform us that neither the carport or the chicken coop or the wall fence had permits. We have no knowledge of this because back in 2023, we did a garage conversion, and we have 7 inspectors came to a property and no one said nothing about the carport or the chicken coop. And regarding the wall fence, we want to explain that we built that structure ourselves these years, and only the front portion of the wall fence is only 1 foot higher than it was allowed. It was never our intention to break any rule. We simply want to have a little more privacy. So we are here today asking for your understanding and support. We really love the carport. We use it to store our RV, play with our daughter, and park our cars when needed. About the chicken coop, our chickens are always enclosed and well cared, never roaming freely around the yard. We want to make it very clear that our goal is to make everything legal and bring the carport, the wall fence, and the chicken coop into full compliance, obtaining all necessary permits and meeting every requirement. We kindly ask that you allow us to keep the structure as we purchase or build them, while we work to ensure everything meets country regulation. Thank you very much for your time and for listening to your case.
Thank you very much. Yes, would you care to comment?
My name is Arlene Alvarez, Assistant to Councilwoman Diaz, and I'm just here for translation if needed.
Thank you. All right. Can I have the staff report, please?
Good morning, Madam Mayor. Peter Lowenstein for the record. This is an appeal of the Planning Commission's approval of a portion of the original request by the applicants to deviate from our accessory structure and wall development standards. As was described, the Planning Commission denied the applicant's request for both carports and approved chicken coop and front yard wall. Staff finds the requested variances are self-imposed hardships and that are preferential in nature, therefore outside the realm of the NRS Chapter 278 for granting variances. As such, staff recommends denial of the appeal. If the appeal is granted or any combination of the components are granted, revised conditions or approval will be needed prior to the finalizing such a motion. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to be heard on this item? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Are there any questions or comments from members of the City Council? Okay. Yes, you do. Okay, then in that case, Councilwoman Walensky, would you like to make a motion?
Oh, man.
Yeah, and I actually may kick this to Lowenstein only because it is a little bit confusing.
Yes.
Because of the denial, partial approval, partial denial. So Lowenstein and I have worked with the Fonseca's, who've been great to work with, lovely family. And I would like to allow them to keep their RV parking in addition to their chicken coop, which the Planning Commission already approved. Want to make sure that I'm making the right motion to allow them approval of all of it as long as within 30 days they make the effort to get the RV covered parking garage structure approved by the city. At least start the process within 30 days.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, Peter Lowenstein, once again for the record. So the motion is to approve it in its entirety. Conditions of approval number 1 through number 6 shall be revised to reflect the following language within the respective conditions, which should state a variance is hereby approved versus that of a variance is hereby denied. That would then, with the motion, allow for all of the items to be approved. And then in addition to the direction from the councilwoman, condition number 13 covers that all necessary building permits are to be obtained. I would say in light of this that it's more of a direction that the process begin within 30 days. And we can have code enforcement follow up in that 30 days if no permits have been submitted.
And Arlene, the honorary ambassador to Ward 4, thank you for all your help in this matter. Will you make sure that the applicants understand that condition number 13 for 30 days?
Buenas tardes. Bueno, la concejal nomás quería verificar que si ella aprueba esta moción para su apelación, van a tener que empezar el proceso de pedir sus permisos dentro de los 30 días. Esa es la condición que les va a poner. ¿De acuerdo?
So they agree to all of the conditions.
Y las condiciones que ya estaban estipuladas previamente.
care to make a motion? Care to have Alan make a motion?
Lowenstein, you wanna reiterate all that, encompass that? I'm gonna say what you said?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the motion is to uphold the appeal with the amending of conditions 1 through 6 to reflect a variance is hereby approved versus that a variance is hereby denied. And then on top of that, you're just giving additional direction that the building permits be submitted within 30 days.
Yes.
Shall we vote on the motion? Please post. Motion carries. Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Agenda item 60, 24-0513-VAR1, abeyance item, variance applicant Santos Aguilar, owner Layani Gonzalez. I'm gonna have you say that name so I don't mess it up.
Leilani Gonzalez Arguelles.
Thank you so much. For possible action on a land use entitlement project request to allow existing detached residential accessory structures, carports, and storage buildings that do not comply with Title 19.06 development standards for setback, separation, size, location, and aesthetic compatibility, and to allow a front yard fence that does not conform with Title 19.06 front yard wall and fence development standards on 0.14 acres at 2104 Santa Rita Drive, R1 Single Family Residential Zone, Ward 3, Ms. Diaz. The Planning Commission recommends approval, staff recommends denial. This is a public hearing that I now declare open. Is the applicant present?
And, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I've been in contact with, Mr. Aguilar regarding this item. They're still trying to take, direction from my office and come up with something that is amenable, to the neighbors and myself. And so, they're still not there, and I'm going to request a 2-month abeyance to the December 17th, 2020, next council meeting.
Mr. City Attorney, does that require a vote or?
Yeah, correct. It's a motion for an abeyance from Councilwoman Diaz, so we need a vote on it, and she put it, for an abeyance, you need a set date, which she did for mid-December.
All right, in that case, shall we vote? Please post. Motion carries. Thank you so much, Ms. Diaz. Agenda item 61 is being withdrawn without prejudice. Agenda item 62, 25-0176, abeyance item on the following land use entitlement project request on 4.50 acres at the northeast corner of Harris Avenue and Bruce Street, C1 Limited Commercial Zone. Item 62A, 25-0176-VAR1, abeyance item to allow a 75-foot residential adjacency setback where 111 feet is required. 62B, 25-0176-VAR2, abeyance item to allow 242 parking spaces where 340 are required. 62C, 25-0176-SUP1, abeyance item for a residential multi-family use. 62D, 25-0176-SDR1, abeyance item for a proposed 3-story, 204-unit multifamily residential development with waivers of the perimeter, landscape buffer, and building orientation requirements. The applicant owner is HIM for Life, Inc. The Planning Commission recommends approval on the entire land use entitlement project. Staff recommends denial on the entire land use entitlement project. These are in Ward 3, Ms. Diaz, and our public hearings, which I now declare open. Is the applicant present?
We are, Mayor. Ricky Barlow for the record, LB Access, LLC, 2229 team, Mr. Jay Nady, as well as Mr. Rodney Wissenbeck, who is the architect of record for Aptus Architects.
Would you like to tell us about the project?
Absolutely, Mayor. Absolutely. It's been a long road, but very educational for us all. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Mayor, and the entire council for allowing my team and I to sit before you and explain to you the layout as to what's before you today, because this is coming back based on an abeyance from 2 council meetings ago. Having heard from the Councilwoman Diaz's office, as well as listening to the rebroadcast of the council meeting and listening to the neighbors, went back to the drawing board and made some adjustments that we believe would or should satisfy this council. And so for that, I would like to point out, number one, that there are 2 variances that were in question. One being the setback, the residential adjacency setback, as well as the parking waiver. Those are the 2 major prongs that cause concern for council as well as the neighbors. And so I would like to address those 2 line items so that we can clarify and hopefully move forward with a favorable approach in order to get this development done. I'll start first and foremost with the residential adjacency setback. And at this time, I would like to ask that Mr. Wissenbach explain how and why we meet the setback, and therefore the waiver that we request for the setback will no longer be necessary as it relates to this application. Mr. Wissenbach.
Good afternoon, council members. There you go. So as you can see from our exhibit on the site sections, on page 3 of the package, we feel we're compliant. We went straight out of Title 19 and used your 3.1 proximity slope to make sure that we don't go above that anywhere where we're close to property line that was prescribed. So as you can see, we have 5 different sections here showing where we're adjacent to the residents on the north and the east side. And with this dashed line, you can see we comply with that.
So that's the setback question, Mayor and Council, in regards to the residential adjacency setback. In addition to that, the second variance is the parking variance. When we initially brought this application before this council, we requested approximately 204 units. Since then, we decreased it to 190 from the last council meeting. We've now adjusted that unit count to 174 apartment units. With that ratio, now reduces the 47 parking spaces that we requested previously now down to 8. We're asking for a waiver of 8 parking spaces. And so for that, what we've done is eliminated, if you can read the overhead, right here, in this section right here where we had units previously at the last council meeting, we basically have taken out, what was the number of units we took out? Was it 34?
We took out additional 16.
16. Additional 16 units in this section of the development in order to increase the number of parking spaces. And therefore, we're now currently, as of today, and as of this site plan, we're only short 8 parking spaces. So therefore, we're requesting a waiver of 8 parking spaces to the deficit.
Thank you so much for the presentation. May we hear from the staff?
Good morning, Mayor. Seth Floyd for the record. Mayor, while additional residential units are needed and encouraged within East Las Vegas, the proposed development is too intense for the area as evidenced by the requested residential adjacency and parking variances, and as such, staff is recommending denial of the